the top. Ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Fatty me on the place, I with the one Jamal skinny. We are the general. We sit up on the rhythm and over the mic incredible. I'm me right part of the rhythm, move with the rhythm, I sit down steady. Every ragamuffin you do, I feel rock and follow it. Jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. We chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, when me ride palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Fatty me on the place, I with the one Jamal skinny.
Yes. What is up, producers? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I see we got people tuning in from all around the world. Love to see it. Colombia, Serbia, Korea, Mexico, Germany. Yes. Beaumont, Cali. I've never even heard of that. Colombia, loud and clear. Thank you, Seneca. Seneca, I think Seneca music, is that Portuguese? Is that Brazilian? Sweden, Australia, Brazil. There is some Brazil in the house. Love to see it. What's up, George? Sounds good. Mount Rainier. I wish I was from there. Poland. Oh, wow. Unknown is saying hello to Bill. Bill is going to be joining us in just a second. I like to come online and make sure everybody can hear me before I bring in the guest. Just makes sense, right? We're going to be checking out brand new iZotope plugin today with Bill from iZotope, and it's going to be one heck of a ride. So let's not waste any time. Let's bring him on. Bill Podolak from iZotope. Bill, how are you today?
Hey, Joshua, doing great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I know you're about to head out. You shared in the stream description that you just got married, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're going to be headed on a little trip, but
so fun.
You took the last moments of your work week to jump on stream with us and show us your brand new plugin. So before we jump into checking it out, tell the people a little bit about yourself, a bit about your role at the company, and what we're going to be checking out here on the stream today. How's that sound?
Sounds good. So hey everybody, my name's Bill. I'm a senior product manager at iZotope and Native Instruments, and I've had the privilege to work on some products like Ozone 10 and Ozone 11, and then RX 11 that came out recently this year. And now we've got our newest product in front of us. This is iZotope Plasma. It's an intelligent saturation plugin that basically analyzes your sound and determines where it needs a vibey boost through tube saturation, and dynamically and adaptively changes based on the source and over time to give your tracks more of what they need. So we got a bunch of audio examples to take a listen to, and excited to show you all Plasma.
Super dope. So good to hear. Really anxious to check it out. Connor, my colleague here at Plugin Boutique, already did a video on it. Definitely check that out after the stream if this isn't somehow enough for you. It was a great video. He really liked the plugin. And I'll tell you what, Bill, iZotope have been kind enough to allow me to give a couple of copies away to some lucky people at the end of the stream. So welcome. And to be entered to win the giveaway, just like every stream, all you need to do is be active in the chat. And a good way to be active is to @Plugin Boutique with your questions for Bill, and we'll try to get Bill to answer them here out live on the stream. Other than that, you can just be a lovely person in there. Say hello, say where you're coming in from, and you'll be entered to win. But with that, let's jump into checking out Plasma.
All right. So I'm going to start with Plasma for mastering. It's for both mixing and mastering, but let's take a listen to this rap mix, and we're going to check out Plasma. I'll just kind of start with it off and then turn it on, and we can hear the difference that this is making. Kind of focus on the vocals and the 808 and how it really becomes a lot more full and powerful.
I'm just blowing through the smoke, elevate your mind, trying to see where it can go. I don't leave my feet though, 10 toes down, gotta stay in beast mode. I don't get no sleep, bro, sleeping on me, see me in your dreams woke. Boy, you know the streets cold, it'll leave your heart froze. Keep the heat close, our team flow. I need a trophy for this, ain't nothing doper than this. I need a chauffeur for this. It's AB soaring next in line, make you put it in rewind, put a tingle in your spine, lyrics cutting at your throat. It's just me and still gold mode, let them know.
So what's cool about Plasma is that it adapts to basically figure out what the song needs. So I'm going to take another instance of Plasma on another master, but keep the exact same settings here. And just notice how we're going to get a completely different response out of Plasma. This mix was more kind of dull sounding and lacking in highs, and Plasma is able to sort of figure that out and determine, okay, we need to tube saturate the top end.
Bill, before you do that, what people should be looking for essentially is the movement of the frequency response in the main window there.
Yeah, so I'll mute it and kind of explain. This chart that we're looking at has frequency from left to right, low frequencies to high frequencies, and then gain starting from 0. And so it's kind of like an equalizer, right? And when we see, like, okay, if I kind of dial this down, this means we're doing about 3 dB of boost in this 2K to 4K area.
But boosting what, Bill? What are you boosting?
We're boosting the frequencies through tube saturation. So it's like boosting it with harmonics, basically.
Okay. Is there any other plugin that kind of does that out there? I mean, that sounds pretty unique.
I'm pretty sure it's first of its kind. It's a spectral process. So spectral processing means you're splitting the sound up into these bins. And this is, I'm pretty sure, the first thing that is able to determine, okay, what frequencies need a boost, and then tube saturate those areas. We call it flux saturation, and it's a new algorithm that we've just developed and added to Plasma.
Understood. Well, let's hear the difference between those two, like you were saying.
Okay, cool. So starting with it off, and we're listening to how it's a little bit dull before, and then Plasma is really able to like open it up and make it much more clear and crisp sounding.
We're spilling memories. We laughed, short sticking to our clothes. The water felt so sweet with the sand between our toes. erasing everything we used to know. Memories talk, memories walk, memories true, memories false, memories washed away. It's okay to let them hold you down. Memories know, memories show all of the scratches on your soul.
Oh, it's a big difference there.
That weighs you down.
Yeah, pretty big difference, right?
I think like it was a little subtler in the beginning, but when I hesitate to call it a drop, but when the track got really busy and you turned it back on, there was quite a very noticeable difference, I would say.
Yeah. Hopefully trying to make it obvious for everyone out there, even if maybe you're listening on phone speakers or earbuds or whatever.
Nice.
But with this kind of main control, you can really dial it in to be pretty subtle at these low amounts, because a lot of the time mastering engineers are not trying to dramatically change the song, just enhance it a little bit. So it's very possible to very subtly enhance things with Plasma at these low amounts, or crank it up and it's a super dramatic difference. I was just showing because I think for me this is the coolest thing, like that Plasma is adaptive. So on the first song I showed, this Plasma is detecting that like the vocals and the 808 are kind of lacking in this low mid area and tube saturating that area. And then on this other master, the pop mix, it's noticing, okay, this one's really dull and able to boost it. And that's what makes Plasma intelligent and unique compared to normal saturators that'll just apply blanket static saturation across the entire frequency spectrum.
Understood. We had a question coming in. I don't think it was flagged. I just read it and I forgot to read the name. So they're wondering if this is gain compensated.
It's not, it doesn't really have gain compensation built in, but the boosts don't really add that much gain. So it's just a standard bypass, but it's relatively pretty gain compensated just by its nature.
I see you do have a delta switch there, so we can actually hear what's being added.
Yeah, you want to check that out?
Oh, yeah, always.
Let's go back to the hip-hop mix. Yeah, I love those delta buttons. Okay, so
I'm just blowing through the smoke, elevate your mind, trying to see where it can go.
So you can hear kind of that low mid, and that's exactly what Plasma's adding. And then in this pop mix, it's adding mostly top end. It sounds a little bit like swirly and weird on its own, but when it's mixed into the track, it's like that's what the track is lacking, and it's just kind of adding. That's like that's what it needs, and
we got a question actually.
Kind of fit it in.
We got a question relative to that. E3at is wondering, how does it know? You're saying that it's determining that it's lacking something in a particular frequency range. How does it know?
So it's the intelligent spectral processing. So spectral processing is like, imagine if you had like we're all pretty familiar with multiband, where you can kind of separate the processing that you're applying across bands in the frequency spectrum. But it's like, imagine if rather than 4 bands, you have like 32 bands across the frequency spectrum. You couldn't individually program those bands. So what you do is it's like, okay, this bin, that's your job is to kind of have the signal here. You expect to have a signal kind of like this. And then that bin can determine if the amplitude is too high or too low, and will kind of boost to try and get it onto a target. And the targets are actually this drop down here. So when you have a balanced master selected, which is the one that I'm using, all of those bins across the frequency spectrum like know where they're generally supposed to be in terms of amplitude, and that's basically what lets it know. It's like for a bright master, each bin should have this kind of amplitude. For a warm master, each bin should have this kind of amplitude.
Are you able
Does
to?
that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Are you able to import your own sort of references? Also, I mean, I remember iZotope had, I forget the name of it. Forgive me, so many plugins, but they had a plugin that could like analyze Spotify tracks too, right? Is that something that's implemented here, or is that yet to come?
That's yet to come. That's a good call out. And yeah, Audio Lens
That was it.
connects with Ozone and Neutron. So you can analyze Spotify and then like match your mastering to try and sound like a song on Spotify, which is pretty cool. But we didn't add that to Plasma.
Understood. Cool.
Yeah. So I'll just stick with the mastering and show another example for now. In this pop one, we showed it was lacking top end. In the rap mix, we kind of showed that it was lacking low mids. And then this rock song is lacking in bass. And so just another example to show basically the same settings, and Plasma is able to kind of fill out the low end of the kick and bass guitar. Oops, one sec.
Trace to blame. The talking heads in khaki, pockets sinking, both wrong shape, man. Offer nothing. Can we just call it what it is? Sleight of hand. Fucking lip syncs, Lindsay Lohan. Future lit by street lamps. One for all until it all.
If we maybe let's go back and we can listen to the delta signal. Oops. So you can kind of hear the bass in there, and then again listening to it off.
Trace to blame. The talking heads in khaki.
And on.
Trace to blame. The talking heads in khaki, pockets sinking, both wrong shape, man.
Some really
Yeah.
great audio examples you have. You got me jamming out to each of them, so that's nice.
Thank you. Okay, good. Glad you like them.
We got quite a few questions, Bill, if you don't mind. They're all kind of relating
Yeah.
around if it's adding any artifacts anywhere. I mean, we've got people asking about intermodular distortion. How is it handling phase? If phase changes, if it can cause any issues, and just artifacts in general, if you want to speak on that.
Okay, cool. Sounds like we got some good technical engineers in the crowd.
The Plugin Boutique community is one of the best communities out there, so we don't mess around when it comes to good questions.
Love it. Okay, so phase, intermodulation, distortion, and
Just
artifacts in general.
Yeah.
Cool. So artifacts in general. Let's switch to another example, which is it's a jazz mix, so it's a little bit more like bare, and maybe prone to artifacts. I'll show like you can definitely overdo it. So I'll go ahead and why don't I overdo it? So it's the artifacts that I'm hearing, and you know, y'all are making me criticize my own product. That's okay. It's like getting a little too crunchy. It's a little bit too like just too much, like too hyped. And then if you listen in the top end, you can start to get some swirliness. Like the downside of spectral processors is the sound can sometimes be described as like watery, swirly, like those kind of artifacts that sometimes you can get from like lossy codecs. Like those are spectral processes as well. So if we listen to the delta here, you can hear we're starting to get a little bit of distortion too. Like I'll switch this to scooped and then push the overdrive. We'll turn delta off. And so an artifact you can experience is just like too much distortion. Like that obviously sounds terrible. We want to let you push it too far so that you can hear those artifacts, but like, you know, this is getting kind of blown out and distorted. So I kind of back that off. The other thing I would say in terms of artifacts is with these attack and release controls, fast attack tends to work pretty well. Fast release, you can definitely start getting into trouble and start hearing like pumping artifacts and things just like changing way too fast. So let's take a listen to that. I would say for masters, a longer release time is just going to result in a little bit of a smoother ride, kind of, for the processing. And let's see, I think those are generally the artifacts to watch out for. And then in terms of phase, Plasma really doesn't change the phase very much. The way to think of these boosts, it's like hard to describe, but it's not changing the phase, it's not pre-ringing, it's more like a multi-band compressor with good crossovers but many bands. So multi-band crossovers don't really change the phase if they're good ones, so you won't really, there's not really a phase change to worry about here. It doesn't smear transients. It doesn't pre-ring. Hope that's a satisfactory answer.
Yeah. I know you touched on that it's a multi-band, right? Did you mention how many bands there actually were spread out over the frequency range?
Yeah, I think we went with 16 for this. It might have been 32, but I think it was 16. It's a interesting balance. We just found that like less bands and a little bit of a smoother response was better for this type of process. We've dialed this type of thing in across a handful of products, like the new Ozone module Clarity. That one worked better with lots of bands. So that has 256 bands.
Yeah.
And I'm using the term bands. The technically correct term is bins, but a lot of people don't know what that is. They're basically interchangeable.
Are they evenly weighted, like evenly spaced out over the frequency range, or is there more condensed up towards the top and less at the bottom?
Yeah, I think they're like perceptually... I think they're sort of perceptually spaced.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, lots of questions. Keep your questions coming in at Plugin Boutique, and we'll try to get them answered here on the stream. People are hungry for info, Bill. People want...
That's cool. I think, like,
Oh, yeah.
we really tried to do something new here. Like, you know, I think this really is first of its kind, so I don't I would have questions too had I not been such a close part of developing it.
Quite a few people have asked, including Klaus Peterson, about the resizability of the UI.
Yeah, we didn't include resizing for this, but I think that's a fair feature request. I'm pretty sure it does support high DPI on Windows, which is a sticking point. That's something we're working on rolling out across all of our products, but we don't have like the drag resizing behavior for this one.
So it's just the one size. There's not like a 200% or a 50% somewhere.
That's right.
Gotcha. Nice. I also noticed, Bill, that on all of these instances, you had just the master balanced setting. We had a couple people asking, one, maybe if we can hear some of the other ones, and two, if this is a plugin that could also be used on a channel by channel. And if it is being used on a channel by channel, is there any issue with it stacking on top of itself? And then a third question, I know that's a lot all at once, but like, what about putting an instance of Plasma after an instance of Plasma? Is there any benefit to something like that?
I'll go reverse.
All right.
Because that last question is intriguing. I think that there's probably some interesting experimentation to do there.
Sound design, yeah.
In the same way that like, serial compressors, stacking compressors, like in the same way that can be beneficial, doing 1 dB across, in separate compressors. I think you might be able to get some better results doing smaller amounts of plasma cascaded. It also might be equivalent to just doubling it. So I'm not sure. I haven't myself experimented with that, but it's a good idea.
All right, well, there you go.
And then,
Plugin Boutique community, go forth, run the experiments and feedback to us and let us know what you come up with. We'll give them a little homework, Bill. I don't mind giving the community a little homework.
Yeah. And so let's take a listen to the different types of tunings. So we had balanced first. And now the brighter tuning. Warm. And scooped. So I can kind of see what's happening here. Hopefully these are relatively aptly named. I know I muted it. So balanced is kind of detecting, okay, we need some top end, and this is kind of a little mid-heavy. The brighter one is tilting more towards that top end. The warmer one tilting more towards the low mids. And then the scooped one doing a smiley face kind of curve, boosting the sub bass and also the top end. And I think those really cover most types of masters. It'd be like balanced is good for pretty much everything. I typically go with the balanced. Bright if you're working on a more EDM, pop focused. Warm more for like a folk, jazz, classical. And then scooped, good for like house music is pretty scooped. Some EDM, definitely better scooped than bright.
AKA smiley,
like
right?
This disco pop.
Smile curve.
Yeah, smiley.
We got a question
and
coming
then,
in.
Yeah, I got a bunch of examples.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Just saying, and then like the next things we'll start digging into is plasma on tracks. And definitely would recommend, trying plasma on tracks and on the master, and should hopefully work really well for you, I think.
Nice. Control 14 or Control 4 is wondering if they're mid-side capabilities. I do see the stereo icon there in the middle of the display. What other options do we have?
Yeah. We've got not only mid-side, also transient sustain.
Love that.
Which is something new we added to Ozone 11, and now that's starting to make its way into other products. So yeah, why don't we check out a little bit of mid-side? I'm going to go for a preset here. I really like this wide and clear preset that applies. Maybe I'll just back up. If you're not familiar with kind of mid-side and how that works in iZotope products, we have this little drop down here. And when you put this into mid-side, you basically have two instances of Plasma now, one with a set of settings for the mid and another with a separate set of settings for the side. And then you can individually see their responses on the difference meter. Let's take a listen to this now in mid-side. That's muted. So headphones probably required for that one, but hopefully you could hear it. Should I play the delta signal?
Maybe. I mean, I think it's maybe just crank that flux saturate, and then roll back to the more desirable position.
Okay, cool. So we're cranked on the sides right now. And this is like separate from the mid. That's the mid. And here's the delta. And I can see we're kind of like boosting side low end, so that could be a good moment to just take one of these action region handles and just say, don't affect the low end of the side. Difference between that and that. And then we also have transient sustain. Should I dig into that?
I would highly suggest it. Yes.
Cool. So let's reset and then switch to transient sustain. Backing up for people who might not be familiar, transients are like the punchy part of the signal, like the beginning of a drum hit, things like that. Vocals can also have transients, and other instruments can have transients. And then the sustain is like everything else after the transient. And so by splitting the signal into separate transient and sustain and affecting them differently, you can get some pretty cool effects. Why don't I switch to drums?
Bill, while you're doing that,
as kind of my example for yeah.
I just want to welcome everybody who's come in, everybody who's come in a little bit late. We do encourage you to be on time. I shouldn't have to tell you that. But we're here with Bill Podolak from iZotope, checking out a brand new plugin from them called Plasma. And it's got flux saturation, and we're all learning about what that is today and checking it out on some tracks. And we will be giving a couple copies away. In order to be entered to that giveaway, all you need to do is be active in the chat. You can be asking questions at Plugin Boutique with them, or just be a positive force, and you will be entered to win. Thanks, Bill. Take it away.
Cool. So we'll stay on that mix. I'll try applying some flux saturation to just the transient and hear how that is going to enhance the transients of this mix. And then we'll try applying it to just the sustain and hear how it kind of ignores the transients, basically. Here's the delta. So in that kind of mode, we're expanding the dynamic range, making it a bit more lively, kind of bringing out that live drum kit in the recording. And then if we were to just power off Transient and check out the sustain, we could do a similar thing, but have it be a more smooth, like bringing out sort of everything but the drums.
Hey, Bill, do you have just a drum kit we can hear that on?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, the punchy
Cool. So
drum
this,
kit preset. That will work.
Yeah, I went ahead and used that. And this has, we're going to listen to 2 tracks. We got the drums, plasma on the drums, and then everything else but the drums. So maybe I'll mute the everything else but the drums so that we just hear the drum kit, and then we can kind of hear it in the context of the mix. So quite a bit more liveliness. And here's how that sounds with the context of the mix. We'll start with it bypassed. Yeah. All right. Any other questions coming in, or should I just keep going?
Let's keep it rocking, man. Let's keep it rocking. What else we got lined up here?
Cool. Got some synths lined up, and this synth bus. Again, got it kind of separate from the rest of the context of the mix. Let's just take a listen. Start with it bypassed. Here's the delta. So it's kind of lacking that mid-range warmth, and based on sort of the synth pad tuning, Plasma is able to determine that and bring up saturating those areas. Maybe I'll take a minute while we're listening to the delta signal of this to just show overdrive with... So you can hear as we're turning that up, getting more and more crunch. On the far left, it's a relatively clean boost in that area.
It's getting negative over there on the far right.
On the far right, yeah,
when you was
rolling off a
overdrive,
little bit of top end.
No, overdrive all the way down. All the way down. Look at the dip below 0.
Yep. It's rolling off a little bit of top end, as that's just what tube saturators do. That's what our tube algorithm does. So that's actually why we decided to have the default position here be 10K, because it does roll off a tiny little bit of ultra top.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that a Bill P original that we're listening to?
Production? No, this song is called Maybe Tomorrow by Smokehouse.
All right. Smokehouse, great name. Do you want to shout out those other artists as well? I mean, there were some pretty good tracks in there. That jazzy one was pure fire.
Yeah, right? That one's so cool. That one is called Oliver by Childish Japes. The rap song is called Gone Shine by STLGLD. This one is called Debris by Iris Loon. And then the rock mix, I actually don't know what that one's called, unfortunately. It was just called like Rock Mix 1 in our library. And we didn't actually use that for the video, so I didn't look into it. Yeah, those are the credits.
Yeah, that jazzy one was...
I really like this.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Childish Japes is... I'm pretty sure that's the name of the band. Yeah, they got some pretty cool stuff.
Is that another Donald Glover project, or?
I don't know.
Childish,
yeah, it could be. I love... Redbone is one of my go-to testing tracks because it is so transient. It's really good for like testing limiters and compressors and looking at gain reduction traces. That one's
also
always
just
like
a really good track.
Yeah, also just a really good track.
Yeah. Stay woke. Oh, don't let me sing because then we'll get a copyright strike because I'm so close. Was there anything else you wanted to cover for the good people here today?
Let's take a look at some more examples. I've got some vocals here, and the vocals were my mid-side example. We're using this wide vocal stack preset and putting it into mid-side, so we got the balanced vocals in slightly different amounts on mid and side. Because we've got these cool background vocals in this song, and we're just trying to bring them out of the mix a little bit with the flux saturation. Pretty cool. Hopefully you could hear that extra sort of vocal width on the sides. Maybe we'll check out the delta signal real quick on that. Maybe give it a little bit. We could blow it out and hear that extra overdrive. Using a little bit of slower attack and release settings there so that it just kind of glides with those vocals, which aren't very transient.
Oh, that's actually a good question, is how do the attack and release affect... Oh, I guess it's when you go into transient sustain, it will have a attack and release for the transient and attack and release for the sustain. Okay.
Right.
I answered my own question.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like a whole different independent set of controls
Yeah.
for mid and side, including these handles. So it's like two different tab views, basically.
Nice.
Yeah. This Tom's loop is kind of a cool one, just to show sort of the effect of the overdrive again. We'll just play it off and on to start. If we listen to the delta, like hopefully you can hear when it's bypassed, it's like got a hole almost in this low mid area. And then the delta, here's what we're adding to sort of fill that in. And it's kind of a cool way to listen to the overdrive, because as we bring it down, this is pretty clean. And as you bring it up, just getting a little more crunch every time the drum is being struck with that stick. Pushing it too far. And got a bass guitar here. Using the electric bass tuning, and let's take a listen. A lot more presence and articulation, and this one's kind of interesting because it just knows like, okay, we got plenty of presence in this like 500 to 1K region, but needs a boost in these other places.
Listen, I love any plugins that help me get better results easily. They're on my list of good plugins, so absolutely love to have
That's the hope.
Yeah.
And we're trying to like strike this balance where, I'm not saying you're beginner, but there's a lot of beginners, they're trying to throw something on, turn up a knob and have it sound much better. But then we're also trying to enable a pro to, also get those fast results, but with the added control and that layer of depth to make Plasma like flexible and customizable to whatever type of sound source you're working with. So hopefully with these sort of added controls, it's interesting across a wide range of skill level.
Absolutely. Do you want to throw one more audio example at them, and we will give them this last opportunity to enter the giveaway?
Yeah, cool. Wow, that flew by.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
Flow state. We talked about it.
Yeah. Here's a good old acoustic guitar. So I just think the cool thing about this is like, yeah, you could have just boosted the top end of the acoustic guitar, but flux saturation is adding such a unique shape that changes over time and is reacting to like the pick strikes and kind of ducking down when these pick strikes happen. And it's just, I don't think it's something you can get with like any other plugin, whether that be a traditional EQ or a traditional saturator. This flux saturation is really something different and hopefully going to be useful to people.
Oh, 100%. Well, Bill, we're going to give everybody one last opportunity to enter the giveaway. to be entered into the giveaway, all you need to do is be active in the chat. Now is the time. I'll give you about 60 seconds, and I'm going to give away 3 copies. I'm only supposed to give away 1, but I'm going to give away 3 because that's how I'm feeling. That's what I'm doing, and we're going for it. And that's it. Come after me. Find me. If you can see, there's no descriptive view out my window of my camera right now. It's completely blown out, so you won't be able to find me. So yeah, three lucky people are going to get a copy of Plasma. Bill, are there any final thoughts you want to impart to the good community here before we wrap up?
Just, thank you so much for tuning in and taking the time to watch and considering Plasma. We really hope that it can just help people make their music sound great. And thanks to you, Joshua, for having me. I'll say keep an eye on iZotope because we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Hopefully some continued innovative new stuff to just push plugins and music technology forward.
Well, thank you, Bill, for coming on your last couple hours at work before you go on your much-deserved, I would say, honeymoon/vacation. By the way, Bill, congratulations. You're my first 3-timer here on the live streams.
Whoa, let's go.
Yeah, so you get a free copy of Plasma,
a hat
too.
Trick.
Yeah, well, you got a hat trick,
Yes.
And you're going to go home with a copy of Plasma. So thank you so much for coming on these. I think you were one of the first, and it's always nice to see a returning guest, and I know the community loves it. I love to have you, so I'm happy to hear iZotope will be coming out with some more stuff, and it sounds like it'll be in your department, so you are always welcome. Always welcome on the stream, my friend.
And thanks for all the good questions. Let me say one more thing. Free demo, 10-day free trial. So if you're skeptical, try it out for yourself. See how it works.
100%. All right, Bill, the way the giveaway works now, I think it's the same way it did before. We got people positive in the chat, asking good questions, just being cool. And we've got 3 plugins to give away. So I've got 6 names of random people who were being cool in the chat. And what we're going to do is have you pick 3 numbers between 1 and 6. And those 3 people will get a copy of Plasma.
Cool.
Let's do it. I got my names. You got your numbers?
All right. Got them.
Let's go.
4.
Yep.
5.
Yep.
And 1.
I knew I was going to have to. I was just going to start deleting all the ones from 1, but I knew you were going to go back. I knew it. So I luckily didn't delete those names. All right, the 3 lucky winners. If I call your name, congratulations. You get a copy of Plasma, a brand new plugin from iZotope. To claim your copy, email support@pluginboutique.com, and they will get you sorted with your NFR as soon as humanly possible. Send your name, what you won, and a screenshot of you logged into your account on here on YouTube so we can get to verify you. And the winners are Fractals, Control 4, and Klaus Peterson. Congratulations. Yes, it's Fractals, Control 4, CTRL4, and Klaus Peterson. You all win a copy of Plasma, courtesy of the good people of iZotope. Bill, thank you so much for coming. Chat, thank you so much for coming. Connor, thank you so much for hanging around late on your Friday to do this. And we are going to keep doing these right up through the end of the year, so make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz. And who knows, maybe Bill will be on before the end of the year for round 4. Bill, thanks again. Enjoy your honeymoon. Enjoy your vacation. You deserve it. You're an absolute star, and I look forward to having you on again.
Thanks, Joshua. Thanks, everybody.
All right. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Keep on rising to the top. Ragamuffin keeps traveling every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. 40 men on the place, I with the one Jamalski. We are the general. We sit up on the rhythm and over the mic incredible. I'm be right palm rhythm and move with the rhythm. I sit down steady. Every ragamuffin you do, I feel rock and follow me. Cool, you know you love her for your life. Hey. We jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it. We chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady.